Just realised that. Just thought about that. Lynette Oxley here for Tack Shack Tactical TV. And I'm with Paul. Uchi might make an appearance. He's just got a new unicorn, so he might come and show it to us.
Yeah.
It's very wet. It's not new anymore. It was new about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's now seriously not new.
Any case, so shall we start following up with...
Yeah, well, look, firstly, I'd like to apologize to everybody for the sound quality problems that we've been experiencing. I believe that we're not having sound quality problems today. Well, let's...
Apparently I opened too many stuff like everything else on my computer. We've closed everything else down, so hopefully it's sorted.
So we'll hope it goes through with good sound quality today. Yeah, so the aftermath
of last week's show.
And the fallout of last week's show. So I literally got up from the studio last week.
The chairs.
I went back through the door into my office and looked on my computer, and lo and behold, there was a response from Director Milton Ntwana from the CSP in my mailbox. Long story short, he emphatically denies that he ever mentioned GOSA. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the other shooting association just got it all backwards. Pretty they started mailing all their membership about it though before actually confirming it.
No, they actually said, GOSA said was already meeting and stuff like that.
Anyway, it is what it is.
And one of the other people said, no, they never mentioned you in the meeting. So
well, apparently they never mentioned us in the meeting. But anyway, so what follows on from that? Unfortunate. This, as I said to a number of people last week, this perfectly illustrates why bilateral meeting with individual parties or groups of individuals, apart from other groups of individuals, is a really bad idea. There isn't sufficient trust in the community at this stage, or perhaps ever, to do that. You've got to trust that the other guys aren't going to chuck you under the bus. So immediately after last Tuesday's meeting, we got chucked under the bus. And
by one of the other parties. They were wrong.
It perfectly illustrates why bilateral meetings shouldn't take place.
And then I think somebody remarked on the show and say, no, they never mentioned you. And that's,
Well,
that's what
they were right. They did never mention us, but the other parties claimed that they had, or an other party. Anyway, so that party now says they
might have mistaken.
They might have been mistaken. Well, maybe Okay, it is what it is. We take that. We accept that it was an honest mistake. Nobody was trying to score points because that would be just beneath us. And anyway, so the show encouraged a number of responses also. And I'm not saying that the show was the reason for the responses, but the responses followed on from the show. Draw your own conclusions. On Saturday, the Dealers Association, the South African Arms and Ammunition Dealers Association, released their report on the meeting to their members, and it seems as if the members or the associations that attended Tuesday last meeting, did hold the line. Although they went to the meeting, they refused en bloc. They refused to discuss the details of the amendment bill.
So to
much contested amendment bill. They said to the CSP, to the Civilian Secretary of Police, fix your problems first before we start. And that's exactly what look, we made a statement right in the beginning. We were the first people that were approached for these bilaterals. And we made a statement right in the beginning and said we will not attend the bilaterals until certain things have taken place. One of those things that we don't think bilaterals are a good idea to start with. We need everybody in the room. And that seems to have been proven to be correct. The other thing is that we said that we want our PIE requests fulfilled. We want to know.
Response from that yet?
We've had absolutely no response from that, so we are serving papers, court papers, to force the secretary to release the information. There's
obviously something there that they don't want us to see.
There's something they don't want us to see again. Anyway, but we'll see it. We will get to see it. However, so the guys that met in Pretoria 10 days ago held the line, refused to discuss the particulars of the amendment bill. Good for them.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
fantastic,
people.
huh?
However, it seems that last month in Cape Town, the Civilian Secretary of Police held a meeting with certain associations in Cape Town whose members are in Cape Town. And these guys dived straight into all the details of the amendment bill.
We don't want the amendment bill.
Guys, you know, I'm not going to criticize them. I wasn't there. I don't know what their particular circumstances are. But it brings to mind once again, you know, so back in the olden days, there was a bunch of guys, before I was young even, there was a bunch of guys that failed the medical for the Great Track.
Oh, stop it, Paul.
Anyway, so it shows what happens when you get those guys running the show, I suppose. Let's see how this develops. That's, you know, we are where we are. We'll report back to you guys. We will hold the line. We will keep the faith. And then on to our next topic, speaking of failures from the Western Cape. I see the ex-head of the Western Cape Detectives, sometime General Jeremy Vearey, has decided to start chirping again. So a couple of years ago, he was instrumental in bringing out the Chris Prinsloo, Colonel Chris Prinsloo, supplying firearms to the Cape Flats gangs, and he was promptly moved out of his post and eventually fired and stuff like that. So what happened as a result of that is his protection detail, his state protection detail, sponsored by you and I, out of our pockets, was removed from him. So he's waited until this week when he gets he's been begging to have his protection detail reinstated.
Why?
This week his protection detail was reinstated. So he promptly pops up and opines that self-defense is not a reason to have a firearm in South Africa. Okay, so that there is no human right to own a gun or to defend yourself.
But you have a protection unit.
However, it's kind of convenient if you have a state protection detail guarding you. It's also just a little bit hypocritical. In fact, it's hugely hypocritical, Jeremy. Sit down, you're drunk. So anyway, so we have this Muppet chirping about now is this payback? Is this payback to the state for reinstating his protection detail? Is he now chucking other civilians? He's a civilian now. Is this now chucking other civilians under the bus because he got a protection detail? What is this? You know, it's hypocritical. I don't know. It's a mess. Anyway, then slightly onto more topic. You know, we started a couple of months ago with laying out the GOSA Origin Story, because a lot of people don't understand how GOSA just arrived on the scene and where it came from and etc. etc. So we started talking about this a couple of months ago, and then we got interrupted by last week's rather heated show. So we want to get back to that because we feel it's important. And in the run-up to next week's Girls on Fire event,
It's going to be awesome.
yeah, it's next week already. Anyway, it's important to paint the picture, we think. So where did we stop? Last time we left off, we were at 2015 after the Firearms Summit, which was a success because it consigned the Senzo Mayiwa's bill, the 2014 amendment bill, to the dustbin. But it also got the police to ask GOSA to come back and propose to them how we saw the system being fixed, which we did in June of 2015. We went down and we briefed them, and it was well received, etc., etc. And we thought, well, now
all of the people changed.
now we're cooking with gas, and then Ria Piecha and everybody fell as a result of Marikana, and the police had a huge management change, and suddenly we were back in the bloody in the naughty
box.
corner, and they weren't talking to us anymore. Anyway, so the end of 2015 was remarkable for one or two other things. We also explained how we'd struggled to finance our trips to Parliament, and how we decided that GOSA had to professionalise. In order to professionalise, we had to monetize. And we started laying the groundwork for a membership structure, which we would implement the next year. In any case, but so that was all important. But another little interesting thing happened before we did that in 2015. I attended a meeting in Cape Town. I and a couple of other people attended a meeting in Cape Town on the invitation of Gun Free South Africa, and they were releasing certain of their reports by two of their academics. Now I must tell you that both of these academics, Matsopoulos and Abrams, are actually board members of Gun Free South Africa. So,
how ridiculous.
So take it from there how unbiased these can possibly be. In any case, and it turns out the two reports they backed each other up mutually. So Matsopoulos presented his report and said it's backed up by the research published by Professor Abrams. And Abrams came up and said, well, here's her report on intimate femicide, and it's well, you call it fraud.
Fraud. It's like you can't do that in research.
It's academic fraud.
Academic
and then Abrams popped up and said, well, here's her report, and of course it's perfectly consistent with the results found by Matsopoulos in his report, which had used her which had cited her. So they're cross-citing each other. That's academic fraud, and I pointed this out in the meeting loudly, as it was. In any case, and there's Uji panting in the background. Are you tired, my boy?
Very wet.
Have you played with your unicorn until it's almost dead? Oh, beautiful dog. Anyway, so I objected to this, and I said to them they were academic frauds, and they mustn't, they can't do this. And when I sat down, there was a lady sitting next to me. It turned out to be an opinionista from the Daily Maverick. They don't have journalists, they have opinionistas. So they're people with an opinion, and you know what they say, every bumhole's got an opinion. Anyways, and she was stewing next to me, and I didn't quite understand it. I was friendly enough to her. I barely gotten back to Johannesburg, and she was tweeting all over the Twitter sphere about how she could never work in firearms, in gun control, because she would have to deal with these infuriating old white men on the pro-gun side, with clear reference to me. And I mean, thanks, I'm old, I'm white, what can I do? I'm a man, I hope. Anyway, so what that did in one fell swoop, that brought about the creation
of Girls on Fire. We created it that night.
We actually sat in these offices and we said, no, how do we do it? We've got to show that we aren't old white men. And we created Girls on Fire, and it's been a roaring success since then.
Absolutely.
So as we relatively regularly do. Thank you, Rebecca Davies. We couldn't have done it without you,
sweetheart. I thank her every time I have an event.
We thank her every time.
I don't know if she
was a critical instrument in the creation of the ladies' gun rights movement, the women's empowerment with guns movement.
I don't know if anybody noticed that with the Scrappy book, the female girl is actually called Kirsten.
After Adele Kirsten.
And she's actually named after Adele Kirsten, so
anyway, so we like to recognise the stepping stones on our path, and she was an important stepping stone.
She was, absolutely.
Anyway, so 2015 turned out to be, instead of being the crushing success of the gun control lobby via the parliamentary firearms summit, it turned out to be a pivotal year for gun rights in South Africa.
It was, definitely.
It allowed GOSA to step out of the shadows. We'd always been, not in the front line. It saw us deciding that we needed desperately to monetize so we could professionalize, and it saw the formation of Girls on Fire. which then promptly led into 2016, where we started taking our first paying members, and then we went through various permutations of membership categories. We experimented briefly with firearm insurance. We called it Gunsure. We had a partner who was an underwriting company, and we spent months and months and months trying to talk underwriters into underwriting firearm ownership from a risk perspective. It turns out that yes, they were prepared to do that, but the cost they were prepared to do that at made it not cost effective. Also, that there are so few insured events in actual fact that it's just not financially viable. So after about a year on that, we had to restructure. We moved the Gunsure out of the GOSA membership, and we started working on the idea of having
in-house counsel.
In-house counsel. Well, it didn't start out as in-house counsel. At first it was
some free lawyers.
It was external counsel.
Free lawyers.
I was about to say outhouse counsel, but that would be completely incorrect. So first we started with a bunch of attorneys who were contracted into us, and that kind of led, after a year or two, into us actually creating in-house counsel in GOSA, actually hiring an admitted attorney into GOSA. We're on our third variant of that attorney at the moment, and it's working very well. And it was also an important stepping stone for us. We had to go through Gunsure to discover that we actually needed what is it? Mosquito.
Oh, mosquito.
We had to go. It wasn't lightning striking you.
No, luckily not.
Okay. So not again. No. Although it might do in a very short space of time. Yeah. I see it's coming over all overcast outside. Anyway, so guys, yeah, that's what brought us into the having in-house counsel. Was going through the process with Gunsure, then looking after our creating a mechanism so we could refer our members.
Oops, something happened there. Hannes, are we out?
Hannes?
Yeah, it shows we're still up.
Oh, we're still up. Oh, jeez. Okay, the screen just went dead in front of us.
Let's finish it off as soon as possible.
All right. Sorry. So, guys, yeah, so that brings us up until 2016, 2017. Thank you very much for watching. Next week, Friday, we're going to be hosting this show live on the shooting range at Wattle Springs. We hope we've got decent comms from Wattle Springs.
It's going to be an awesome event, really very nice 8 stages, plus a bonus, what do you call it, cannon stage, black powder cannon stage. And yes, we're still a little bit short of cash, so if you've got a couple of R100 lying around, please donate it. All of the details is on the GOSA page and also on the Girls on Fire page. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
see you
guys.
next week.
Have a great weekend.
Cheers.
We're out.
Scrappy the Land Rover has lots of friends. Come play with us, the fun never ends. We're gun buddies, we learn gun safety. It's fun and easy, just like 1, 2, 3. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away. Someone has a gun they keep in their room. Don't touch it or it will go boom. Scrappy knows what's best, so listen girls and boys. Guns are not bad, but guns are not toys. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away. A friend invites you to come and play. He tells you to touch a gun. No, that's not okay. Scrappy knows what's best, so listen girls and boys. Guns are not bad, but guns are not toys. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away.